Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vaishali Khan and we are discussing the EMFT. We have started the magnetostatics in the previous video, and in the previous video I already talked about the Ampere's law of force. Today in this video we are going to proceed our discussion towards the magnetic flux density and the Lorentz force. Both of these concepts are really important for your exam point of view, and you must devote your utmost attention to watch this video, right? So as I told you in the previous video, we are going to relate the concepts of electrostatics with the magnetostatics, and this is how we are going to understand the magnetostatics in a very simple manner, right? So first of all, we are going to talk about the magnetic flux density, right? In the electrostatics, the analogous term was the electric flux density, which was represented by D. Right here we have the magnetic flux density, which is represented as B. Right, so B is the magnetic flux density. How we used to find out the electric flux density? From the electric field. And how we were finding out the electric field? From the force. So here also we have the force, and from the force we can find out the magnetic flux density, right? So in the same manner we are going to proceed. So here Ampere's force law is the analogous to the Coulomb's law, and it is going to give me the action at a distance, right? So the Coulomb's law was going to give me the concept of electric field, right? With the help of Coulomb's law, I described the electric field. If you have still not watched the video on the electric field, you can watch that first and you will get to know how with the help of Coulomb's law I described the electric field, right? So force is equal to Q into E, right? If I divide the force with the help of Coulomb's law, I found out the force. By the charge I will be getting the electric field, right? So it is going to describe the interaction between the charges, right? So in the similar manner, the Ampere's law of force is going to give me the appropriate field, right, which is the magnetic flux density over here, by means of which I can find out the current which is exerting the force on each other, right? So the force which is exerted by this current I can find out with the help of the magnetic flux density. Like with the help of electric field intensity I was finding the force, here also with the help of the magnetic flux density I can find out the force. So now the force here can be represented as the contour integration of C2. So now here I have taken the I2 dl2 as a separate position. So what was the force actually with the help of the Ampere's law of force? I hope you all have watched the previous video, and there I discussed about the force. So the force was equal to contour integration mu naught upon 4 pi. This is a constant. Then we have I1 dl1 cross I2 dl2 cross AR cap upon R12 square, right? So this was the force. What I have done, so this was the C1 and C2 integration. So I have taken I1 dl1 the separate integration. So we have taken I2 dl2 as a separate integration. So F12 can be represented as integration over the contour C2 I2 dl2 cross mu naught upon 4 pi is a constant. We can take it outside the integration. So cross mu naught upon 4 pi I1 dl1 cross AR12 upon R12 square. So what I have done, like in the electrostatic, I can represent the force as Q2 into Q1 AR upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square. So this was my force in the electrostatics. So if I take this Q2 here in the denominator, I will be getting the electric field. Here also if I take this I2 dl2 in the denominator, because the equivalent of the charge here is the current, right? So now current over the element dl2 is taken in the denominator, and I will be finding out the magnetic flux density. So how I can represent the force? So force F12 can be represented as closed contour integration over C2 I2 dl2, and this overall term is my B12, the magnetic flux density, right? So now what would be my B12? So the remaining term is the B12, which is mu naught upon 4 pi integration over C1 I1 dl1 cross AR12 cap upon R12 square. So this is my magnetic flux density. So the magnetic flux density at the location of dl2 due to I1 in C1 is going to give me with the help of this equation. So this is how I can relate the electrostatics and magnetostatics. So now here, if I have the infinitesimal current element IDL, right, and if it is immersed in the region of magnetic flux density, why I am taking the infinitesimal current element over here? So that this current element is not going to influence the field density B, right? If I have a very high field, if I'm immersing it in the field B, so this field is going to influence the field that I have to compute as well. But if I have a very small field which is negligible as compared to this field, and if I immerse this small field over here, it is not going to create a very high impact on this large field. So this is the reason I have taken the ideal element to be infinitesimal, so that the field arising due to it would be very less, right? Field is directly proportional to the ideal. If ideal is small, field would be small. So if I have immersed it in a region of magnetic flux density B, the current element experience a force, and how I can represent the force? Force would be dF, which will be equal to IDL cross B. Right? So this is how I can represent the force. So dF is equal to IDL cross B vector. Now this was the force due to the infinitesimal element. If I want to take the total force due to the total current element, so I will be taking the integration over the contour of dl, right? So this dl element will always in a closed loop. I hope you know the reason why I am saying so. So F is equal to I contour integration of C dl cross B. If you are still confused why I take the contour over here, why I am talking about the closed loop, you can watch the previous video. So the total force exerted on the circuit C having the current I immersed in the magnetic flux density is represented by F is equal to I contour integration over dl cross B. So if I have the total length L, so how I can represent the force? So force can be represented as I, this is the total length, cross B. So you can remember it as BIL, B-I-L, right? So you should remember the position of cross product as well, right? So I-L cross B, it is force. And if you want to remember it or you just want to put it in your brain, so you can remember it as force is equal to BIL. So now the force on the moving charge. So how I can represent this force? The charge is moving now, we all know this thing. So there would be some influence of electric force as well. So electrostatic force would be there, magnetostatic force would be there. Now I am going to calculate the total force, right? So this total force which is present due to the electrostatic force as well as the magnetostatic force is the Lorentz force. So a moving point charge placed in a magnetic field will be experiencing the force. So first let's talk about the magnetic force. So I talked about the force as I dl cross B, right? So force was I dl cross B. Now I have taken this I dl and I have equated it to QV. Why I dl is equal to QB? Why this equation is there? So I dl, what is I? I is the dq upon dt, right? If I am talking about the full charge, it would be q upon dt, and here we will be having dl, right, cross B. So if I take this dt below this dl, so if I take the total charge q, if I take dl upon dt cross B, so it would be q dl upon dt is v cross B. So this is how I can represent the magnetostatic force, so which is the Fm is equal to QV cross B, right? So Fm is equal to QV vector cross B vector. right? And this is the magnetic field, and this is the charge q which is moving over here, and the force experienced by the q has the direction which is perpendicular to both v and b. So v is having this direction, b is having this direction, so force will be perpendicular to both of them, right? Force will be inside. So now coming to the Lorentz force, as I already told you, in the Lorentz force we are considering the effect of electrostatic force as well as the magnetostatic force. So whenever I have the point charge which is moving in the region where both electric and the magnetic field would be there, right? So it will be experiencing the force due to the electric field as well as the force due to the magnetic field. So in the previous case what I consider only magnetic field is there, but now I am considering there would be some electric field as well. So the total force will be equal to Fe plus Fm, force due to the electric field plus force due to the magnetic field. We all know force due to the electric field is QE, right? So Fe is QE and Fm is Q V cross B, right? So now here I can take Q common and I am left out with Q E vector plus V vector cross B vector. So this is the total force. This equation is useful for determining the equation of motion for the electrons which are having the electromagnetic deflection system, right? Such as the cathode ray tube. In the cathode ray tube, if I want to find out what is the actual force acting on the electrons, I can find out it with the help of the Lorentz force. So what is the unit of the field? So it is Tesla. The field can be found out with the equation Q V cross B is equal to F is equal to Q V cross B. What would be the equation for the B? B will be equal to F upon QB, right? So force is represented in Newton. Now the charge is represented in Coulomb. Now velocity is represented in meter per second. So here we have the Tesla is equal to Newton second Coulomb meter. Now I can represent Coulomb per second. So this, if I take Coulomb per second is ampere. We all know this thing. Coulomb per second is a representation for the unit of the current which is ampere. So it could be equal to, the Tesla could be equal to Newton per ampere meter. So I hope you understood the unit of the field. The magnetic field is having the unit Tesla which is Newton per ampere meter. So E will be equal to V upon M. So now if I am considering the electric field unit in volt, so if I consider the unit of electric field as volt per meter, so the Tesla will be equal to volt second upon meter square, right? So this is how we can have the two units of the Tesla. So Tesla can either be represented as Newton per ampere meter or volt second per meter square. Now you should understand that Tesla is a very big unit. If I consider the Tesla, the field of the overall earth is having the field 0.00005 Tesla. Tesla is a very big unit, so I am not using Tesla in the practical computation, or if I am using it with 10 raised to power minus 5, 10 raised to power minus 6, 10 raised to power minus 7 and all. But if I don't want to use Tesla, I can have the smaller units like the Gauss as well. Now coming to the various observation from the Lorentz force. First, if V is equal to 0. So when the velocity is 0, the charge is stationary. So we all know force is Q V cross B. And if I have V is equal to 0, V cross B would be 0, so force would be 0. Right? So the magnetostatic force would be 0 for the static charge. Now if I consider that V is parallel to B. So when V is parallel to B, V cross B will be equal to 0. So V cross B again will be 0. And when V cross B is 0, Q V cross B will also be 0 and Fm will be 0. So when we have the parallel field, and if I have the charge which is moving parallel to the magnetic field, so at that time I will not be having any magnetostatic force. So now coming to the third observation. Now the force is normal to both the direction of V and B. So if I take the dot product of F with V, I will be having 0, right? Because the output force is perpendicular to the direction of V as well as B. So we all know the perpendicular vectors are having their dot product 0. So if F and V are perpendicular, F dot V will be equal to 0. Which means how I can represent V? V can be represented as ds upon dt, so f dot ds will be 0. Now f dot ds is 0, which means the work done by the force is 0. So always and always the magnetostatic force is not going to do any kind of work. This thing is very important observation which you should understand. Now the kinetic energy of the charged particle in the magnetic field. So the kinetic energy is not going to change. How I can represent it? So how I can represent mv dash? It can be represented as q v cross b, because mv dash is the mass into acceleration, which is force. Force is q v cross b, right? So now here we know f dot v is equal to 0. If I take the dot product both sides, I will be having the 0. So now mv dash dot v is equal to 0. So how I can represent it? I can represent it as d by dt of half mv square. So if you differentiate it with respect to time, you will be getting m dv by dt dot v. So right, so now here d by dt of half mv square is equal to 0, which means half mv square is constant, which means the kinetic energy of the charged particle in the magnetic field is constant, right? And the magnitude of the velocity should also be constant to find out the Lorentz force. If it is not constant, we cannot find out the Lorentz force. So I hope you understood all of the things that I have discussed in this video. If you have any doubt, you can put the doubt in the comment and I will be trying to resolve your doubt as soon as possible. I hope you like this session. If you like it, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and also give me your feedback. Thank you so much.